Lauralee Bell, the beloved daytime star, is set to shake things up as she returns to The Young and the Restless in June. But that's not all before she makes waves in Genoa City. She's heading over to The Bold and the Beautiful for another exciting crossover in April. Could this mean unfinished business, a rekindled romance, or something completely unexpected? Let's dive into all the details. The Young and the Restless icon Lauralee Bell is making a bombshell return before she even sets foot back in Genoa City. Before Christine Blair returns to Y&R, she'll first be gracing The Bold and the Beautiful for an exciting crossover tied to none other than Forrester Creations. According to Deadline, Bell has already filmed her scenes for B&B and viewers will get to see her in April. But what exactly brings Christine to B&B this time? Well, Lauralee Bell herself teased that whenever her brother, B&B Brad Bell, calls, she never knows whether it's to talk family or to invite her back for another big crossover. He established this collaboration, Bell shared, hinting that Christine's ties to B&B over the tears. Viewers will remember that she first crossed over back in 2007 when Ridge needed help. Recently, in August 2024, Christine returned to LA alongside Michael Damian's Danny Romalotti. The duo made a splash as Danny's music was used for Brooke's bedroom lingerie line, with Christine once again stepping into the glamorous world of Forrester Creations for a fashion show. It will definitely be epic. Hey everyone, welcome back to Radiant Serum. I'm Aubrey, and I hope your day is shining bright. Thank you for joining me. Let's jump right into today's video. Tracy Abbott has been one of the sweetest characters on The Young and the Restless. We can easily say that Tracy is the most selfless and loving character, but it seems she is going to end up heartbroken in the near future, and this may lead to questioning herself. But the bigger question is, will Tracy give up her true self and follow a darker path? To know more, keep scrolling. You heard right, Martin Lawrence is back in Genoa City. The upcoming spoilers for The Young and the Restless suggest that it is Martin who has switched places with Alan, and it seems like he is the one who has kept Phyllis and Sharon in captivity. The fans were already suspecting that something is wrong with Alan since the start of this whole storyline. Now that we know that Martin is back and is the one who's behind all this captivity drama, it will be interesting to see in which direction the captivity drama will go. Although it is certain that it is going to end soon. But what really makes everyone sad is that when Tracy will find that Martin has switched places with Alan, she surely will feel shattered. What will be Tracy's next big step? This is sure that once Tracy Abbott will know the truth behind all the Martin-Alan switch drama, she will feel broken from inside. She was truly in love with Alan. And after the imminent proposal at the CGAC, she was looking at the larger picture, getting married to Alan. Now it all seems to be shattering. But what if Tracy's heartbreak leads her to a darker direction? She'll forget about all of it and just want to pursue Martin. Even though he is not Alan, no one can deny that her feelings for him were genuine. It is possible that instead of processing this heartbroken phase, she ends up following Martin and his vicious plans in the name of love. At the club, Jack and Diane tell Tracy she seems refreshed. Alan says she sparkles no matter what. He teases about the chemical reactions in his brain when he sees his girlfriend. He missed her very much. She missed him too. Jack and Diane ask what kept them apart for so long. He was in DC and she was in New York. Ellen wanted to sneak up to the Big Apple to surprise her, but it was a complete and utter disaster. Diane can't believe it ended in disaster. Jack agrees and urges him to finish the story. Tracy explains that her agent booked her on a last-minute book reading in Charleston, so she missed him. Then they arranged to meet back at home, but freezing rain canceled his flight. Jack tells his sister and Alan that they deserve all the happiness in the world. Alan wants more time with Tracy and offers to stop his speaking engagements so they can travel together. If that's what you'd like. Tracy teases about how much help he is while traveling, but she can't ask him to give up such a big part of his life. Jack points out maybe that's what he wants. Alan doesn't want to crowd her. Tracy tells him she would never feel that way. Diane thinks Alan is a contender for most romantic gesture. Jack is grateful his sister has Alan in her life. Alan says he's the lucky one. They go over him losing his brother and being alone in Paris. He's no longer alone because of her. Tracy is more grateful for him. She's completely happy. She accepts his offer. Alan is tragically in love and blurts that if he thought he had a shot, he'd ask her to marry him right now. Jack and Diane gawp. Tracy teases what a person won't do to get a free trip to Manhattan. Alan can see the panic in her eyes, but she insists that's not the case. Jack and Diane beat a hasty retreat from the table. Alan mocks, "I'm not very smooth, am I?" Tracy asks, "Is there something that you wanted to say to me?" At Crimson Lights, Chance shows Nick where Phyllis and Sharon were last seen. Sharon comes in and asks if there's news. Nick says they have new information. Chance tells her they've been security cam footage of the van's movements. Nick thinks they have the general vicinity. Every step gets them closer to finding them. Summer worries that it might be too late, but Nick reminds her how tough Phyllis and Sharon are. They don't know why they were kidnapped or even if they were. Chance says the security camera doesn't show abduction. Summer asks, "You have instincts, right? What are they telling you?" Chance is forced to admit he has a bad feeling about this. Summer frets, "This is bad." Chance doesn't think Sharon and Phyllis left of their own volition. Nick assures his daughter that the cop will help bring them home. She asks, "What do we do next?" Nick suggests a door-to-door search. Chance mumbles about search warrants. This irks Nick, who says he'll put the Newman team on it. Chance warns against it, but they look at a map and settle on an area to search that seems to be full of empty buildings. Summer doesn't get this. Why would someone take the both of them? They clearly don't want money, or they would have reached out. Chance urges her to hang in there a little bit longer. Nick gets on the phone and says, "Get a full crew ready. I'll meet you there." He hangs up and promises to keep Summer posted. He'll do his best to keep a cool head, and she must do the same. Nick takes off and Chance wants Summer to eat. She can't. She knew he was worried about her mom and Sharon. Chance is confident they'll find them and bring them home. Summer can tell he means it, which is why she's not a complete wreck right now. He knows this is hard after everything with Daniel. Chance says she can count on him. Summer knows this. He's a good guy and a good cop. Chance assures her again they'll find them and bring them home safely. In the locked room, Phyllis asks the freak if he's watching her as she tries to pick the lock. She taunts the voice, but gets no response. Over her shoulder, she tells Sharon to get up and help her. Sharon, asleep on the sofa with a pillow over her face, is unresponsive. Phyllis rushes over and begs Sharon not to freak her out. She tells her over and over to wake up, but she remains unconscious. Phyllis doesn't feel a pulse and shouts, "What did you do to her? What did you do to her?" She frets, "Come on, Sharon, oh my God." She hollers at the speaker, "What do I do to fix it?" She searches for the water bottle containing the antidote, but it's empty. She yells, "Tell me what I do." Just then, she finds a red envelope containing a heart-shaped card. Opening it whilst yelling threats, Phyllis reads, "I mark my time in blood, sweat, and tears." She throws it and says, "Crazy freak. She'll find out who he is and will come for him. I'm coming for you." Returning her attention to Sharon, she continues trying to get her to come around. Working on the riddle, Phyllis suddenly realizes something. She climbs on Sharon, saying she has to do CPR. She starts counting and pushing on Sharon's chest. She pinches her nose and gives her mouth to mouth, urging, "Come on, Sharon," and begging her not to leave her there alone. She keeps trying to resuscitate her. Finally, Sharon lets out a huge gasp and opens her eyes. "What happened?" Phyllis tells her, "You died. You were dead." He murdered you, and there was a card. She rambles about the oxygen to her brain and asks, how many fingers am I holding up? Sharon's head hurts. Phyllis says, because you were dead. There was no way to fake that. How the hell did he do that to you? She asks the voice, did I pass the test? Sharon marvels, you saved my life. Phyllis had to do it. Sharon was right about her. Phyllis tells her not to make a big deal out of this. A few minutes ago, she was a corpse. Sharon says, I saved your life, and you saved mine. At the ranch, Nick tells Chance by phone that they'll be fast and thorough. Billy rings the doorbell and asks if there's anything new. Nick updates him on the search in the old warehouse district. Billy has something too. I got a text. He got the number for Phyllis' burner phone and called it once or twice. No one picked up, but a text came through. Click here for information on the Havenhurst Psychiatric Clinic. Nick says it reads like a courtesy response. None of the rest of them got the text when they called the burner phones. Billy wonders if it was on purpose or a glitch. Nick wants to get it to Chance right away, but first checks to see if it's a real place. Looking it up, he finds out it exists, but is permanently closed, and it's in the warehouse district they're going to search. That can't possibly be a coincidence. At the GCAC, Alan tells Tracy he was winging it when he mentioned marriage. They don't have to have this discussion now if she doesn't want to. Tracy doesn't want to set this aside and circle back to it later. Alan takes her hands in his. I've spent a lifetime without you, Tracy. He was productive, but questions if he was really living. Now there's a woman in his life who radiates humanity with a generous heart. Being away from her made him realize his life before wasn't enough. He wants to give her space but be closer to her. I love you very much. Tracy Abbott, will you marry me? Tracy cries, Alan Laurent, yes, I will marry you. Alan wants to hold on to this moment and asks Tracy if it's moving too fast. Tracy doesn't care what the rest of the world thinks. You come to a point that you convince yourself you don't need this kind of love anymore, that memories are enough. Alan knows her daughter passed away. Tracy talks to her every day and has told her all about him. Finding this with him is like a bonus chapter in her story. Alan determines that he needs to get her a ring. Tracy insists it can wait, but he won't hear of it. I'll be right back, he declares as he rushes toward the door. Jack and Diane pass him and hope he's not fleeing the scene. In the psychiatric hospital, Phyllis warns Sharon not to drink the water too fast. Sharon chides that it's almost like she cares. It's becoming clear to her that that's what all this is about, getting past the hate, seeing the bigger picture. Phyllis can still hate her and not want her dead. Sharon tells her this situation has changed things. It's changed us. Phyllis denies it's that deep. It's just twisted fun for the sick freak. Sharon says it's true. The voice is enjoying this and getting a sense of control and power. But there can be other layers. The voice told them to think of this like an experiment. He or she was looking for some sort of result, like humanity can rise above darker emotions. Phyllis adds, or self-preservation trumps all. Maybe they saved each other because they didn't want to be left alone. Sharon needles her for being so contrary. This has cast a light on their relationship and has gone to the extreme of life or death. Phyllis looks up at the speaker on the wall and asks, did we dance to your tune? Sharon muses, the question is what happens next. At Crimson Lights, Chance assures Summer they'll get through this. She says she's going to go update Daniel. Just then, Nick and Billy come in with the news about the text mentioning Havenhurst. It's a very specific clue, Nick explains and wonders. But is it the truth or is it a trap? At Havenhurst, Phyllis tells Sharon they have to take control. They had to get past everything. They saved each other's lives and got past their history. They had to lean on each other and believe in each other emotionally and mentally. That's what it is. Oh my gosh, that's the final riddle. We have to find an escape route together. Sharon feels if it were that simple, they'd have done it already. Phyllis disagrees. They had the distraction of being there together and their loathing. Things are different now. They listen and don't hear anything. Phyllis says the voice is gone. Sharon thinks she's saying this is their chance to get out. Phyllis nods. There is a way out. There has to be. Death is not an option. They agree teamwork will give them their freedom. Sharon holds out her hand and Phyllis takes it. They look into each other's eyes. After intense speculation as to who captured young and restless Sharon and Phyllis and locked them up together, fans were blindsided by the reveal of the kidnapper's identity. Suffice it to say, he wasn't on our radar whatsoever. So why then did Alan Laurent do it? We were nothing short of flabbergasted to see Tracy's new fiancé, Alan, pull his cell phone out of his pocket and discover that he was the person watching Sharon and Phyllis on the video feed. This meant, of course, that he was the diabolical captor who had torn them from their families and locked them up. In that moment, our hearts shattered for Tracy, who was at that very moment crying tears of happiness at the athletic club as she shared her engagement news with Jack and Diane. The reveal was shocking, but in retrospect, we saw something like this coming. Find out why we've long believed that Alan is his presumed dead twin Martin here. It's pretty clear now that Alan is, in fact, Martin, unless the former underwent a psychotic break after the death of his brother. But that doesn't answer the big question. Why would Martin kidnap Sharon and Phyllis? Why would he care if they made amends or hated each other forever after? He doesn't even know Phyllis and barely knows Sharon. The answer to that is stunning and not a little chilling. We know, from Alan's past descriptions of his twin brother, that Martin enjoyed impersonating him, a respected psychiatrist, because he enjoyed the challenge of it and got a thrill out of being able to pull it off. As we found out when Martin fooled Ashley into believing he was her good friend Alan, he was incredibly skilled at the deception. Looking at the situation with Ashley and knowing what we do now, it's clear he not only manipulated the abbot into thinking he was Alan, but may have done something during her initial meeting with him in Paris to send her headlong into the dead spiral and bring out her alters. That then led to him convincing her to sign herself into a clinic overseas to get help to discover a childhood trauma, thus getting her out of the way whilst he pursued her sister. Ashley, meanwhile, had no luck discovering this terrible event in her past, which makes us wonder if it even exists or was just another manipulation by Martin. In any case, it's clear that Martin loves to prove to himself that he is capable of manipulating people mentally and emotionally. It's a game for him, a challenge, like the one he's playing with Sharon and Phyllis. But why experiment on two women he doesn't even know? Well, our guess is that it stems from Sharon having been unlucky enough to have crossed his path and intrigued him. Young and restless fans will recall that he first met Sharon when Tracy introduced them in the athletic club one day. Sharon was clearly disturbed on that occasion, believing she had killed Heather and still under the influence of the PCP. That would have caught his attention. But Martin became even more entrenched in Sharon's psyche when Alan was invited to perform hypnosis on her in a bid to help her remember not only the night Phyllis was run off of the road, but also the events that took place on the night Heather died. He obviously became fascinated by Sharon and her mental issues, not to mention her complicated and volatile dynamic with longtime rival Phyllis. We can only assume that sense of intrigue is what triggered Martin's diabolical desire to play this unhinged game with Sharon and her nemesis. To find out if he could achieve the seemingly impossible and force the enemies to work through their issues and team up, not only survive, but to escape. The words experiment, challenge, and game have been used repeatedly throughout these scenes by the voice, which sheds light on his motivation. But the idea that he has mentally and physically tortured these women and treated them like lab rats simply for the thrill of it, and to satisfy his demented ego, is downright chilling. Could there be more to it? It's possible, but that will have to be revealed in time. Who among Young and Restless fans isn't with us in that we are more worried about Diane's plans to renovate the Abbott mansion than they are about Phyllis and Sharon's fates, mainly because we know they're going to be just fine. On paper, a revamp makes a lot of sense. It's not the 1980s, so why should a filthy rich family like the Abbotts be chilling in a house that looks like it was decorated by Crystal Carrington? Also, the pile of bricks is so dark and chilly looking inside. We're surprised that the only ghost that has ever visited has been Patriarch John's. But on the flip side, we remain scared, possibly for life, by Billy's 2016 redo of the Chancellor Mansion. It was such a make-under and sparked so much fan outcry that Jill was brought in to undo everything that her son had done. Maybe we're fretting for nothing. Maybe the show has learned its lesson. After all, Victor did rebuild the Newman Ranch to look, well, exactly like the OG one. Maybe Diane will make a few cosmetic changes that we actually like. Honestly, though, we're not sure why Young and Restless is doing this plot at all, considering that it has so many bigger issues to resolve. Heck, just the fact that the best the powers that be can come up with for Jack is yet another rehash of his feud with Victor is a problem in and of itself. So is the wonderfully complex Diane being reduced to the role of interior decorator, Skyle being drawn back together for no sensible reason, Tracy being stuck in a cutesy relationship that lacks heft and depth. Slowly but surely, the pieces are falling into place where the Young and the Restless Sharon/Phyllis kidnapping mystery is concerned. In fact, we may have finally figured out whodunit. All along, Farron's abductor has passed off their life or death ordeal as a game, the end goal of which is seeing them put in the rearview their decades of animosity. Think of this as an experiment and nothing more, he said in the March 11 episode. Who would want to play a mind game, much less as cruelly as the voice is? Who would even come up with such a diabolical plot? Ian Ward for sure, but he wouldn't care at all whether the lifelong enemies buried the hatchet. So who does that leave? If we cast aside the idea that the kidnapper has a vested interest in his victims, suspicion suddenly falls upon Martin. We know, Alan's evil twin is supposedly dead, but half the population of Genoa City has been mistakenly believed to have croaked at one time or another, so it's hardly an obstacle. What we're thinking is that Martin is using Sharon and Phyllis as guinea pigs to prove that he really is the brilliant therapist that he thinks he is, and that maybe he and Alan will be able to say bygone someday. Crazy? You bet. But that's Martin for ya. His resurrection would also give Alan and Tracy something to do besides be cutesy together. Beth Maitland and Christopher Cousins deserve so much better. If along the way, Sharon dies or Phyllis becomes a casualty of Martin's grand experiment, so be it in his mind. That would offer him important information before he tries a similar tactic to wipe the slate clean with Alan. Maybe next Martin will try the same stunt on Victor&Jack or Nikki and Diane. The Young and the Restless fans got a shock at the end of the March 12 episode when Alan was revealed to be, if not the mastermind behind Sharon and Phyllis kidnapping, at least involved enough to be watching a live feed of the two of them. If he is doing this for someone else, that's one thing. But if he is doing it for himself, here is what he could be getting out of it. If Alan is merely supporting Ashley, then he must think messing with Sharon and Phyllis would be good therapy for her. Somehow, maybe just keeping them away from Jack, Nick, and Billy would be enough to snap Ashley back into her right mind. But if Ashley isn't involved then, Alan is a world-renowned psychiatrist, or so he says. Why then is the clinic he's associated with, the one that accidentally sent Billy that automated text, now closed? Maybe Alan isn't as successful as he claims. Maybe he's actually floundering. Maybe he hasn't done any meaningful research in years. Maybe he needs something big to put him back on top. Something world-changing. What could be bigger and more world-changing than a paper on some radical therapy to make longtime foes love each other? If Alan can make Sharon and Phyllis join forces and forgive past sins, who knows what's next? Ireland, the Middle East, Russia and Ukraine, Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. What if it's nothing personal? What if it's just something for him to do while he's in town, romancing Tracy? This could all be just an experiment for him that we all have to suffer through. On the Tuesday, March 11 episode of The Young and the Restless, viewers saw a different side of Claire. She seemed relaxed and in her element, a side we would like to see more of on the show. Claire seems to enjoy drinking alcohol. She's warmed up to it since trying it for the first time. During Tuesday's episode, she wanted to have what Summer had been drinking lately. Maybe it would bring something out of her. As we saw, those strong drinks brought out a different side of Claire. Claire seemed a lot more relaxed. It seems like day drinking has done her well so far. We're witnessing an even more mature version of Claire, if that's possible. She quickly grew up after she stepped out of her late aunt's shadow. That's not the only thing we saw. Claire clearly had chemistry with Holden when they were sitting at the bar. Their cute little banter had us wanting more of them together. Holden would be the perfect guy to bring out Claire's bad girl side. We're already rooting for Claire and Holden to become Y and R's newest couple. Holden could teach Claire everything about Bond films and fine drinks. Audrey did suggest that Holden loves to live on the edge. He could bring out Claire's edge, but that means someone would have to cheat, Claire or Kyle. Instead of going the predictable route, maybe it's Claire who steps out on Kyle. She could get tired of his close relationship with Summer. After all, she should date around before settling down with the first guy who gives her attention. Claire can't deny her bloodline. She still has her crazy Aunt Jordan's DNA. Claire probably still has that bad girl side in her. She's not as innocent as she seems. It would have to take the right person to bring that out. Would Holden be the one to do it? Or would it be someone else like Summer? She should think twice about crossing Claire. It's bad enough she's already moving in on her relationship. Claire almost always walks in on Kyle and Summer hugging. It's also likely that Claire is playing a long con on everyone. She could be a bad girl in disguise. No matter what, we would love to see more of this side of Claire. This would make for a fresh and invigorating storyline. Young and the Restless fans are losing their minds over the latest mystery villain. Sharon and Phyllis have been trapped for what feels like an eternity, pleading for their freedom while their loved ones spiral into panic. And just when we thought we had a lead, things took an even wilder turn. Alan? No, wait, is that Martin? Let's break this down. The man staring at the cameras watching over Phyllis and Sharon in captivity is supposedly Alan, but something is off. Too off, his mannerisms, his tone, the eerie gleam in his eye. It all screams evil twin vibes. So what if this isn't Alan at all, but a long-lost sibling? A shadowy brother named Martin with a twisted agenda? It's a classic soap opera move, and we are here for it. Okay, why would Martin go through all this trouble? Could it be that he's some sort of mad scientist experimenting on our beloved captives? What if Sharon and Phyllis are nothing more than lab rats in a grand scheme of psychological torment? Is he testing the limits of human endurance, or is there something even more sinister at play? Perhaps he's seeking revenge for something Alan did, and poor Sharon and Phyllis are just collateral damage. Or maybe, just maybe, he has a far greater plan, one that involves power, control, and a thirst for chaos. The possibilities are endless, and the suspense is killing us. Someone needs to crack this case before Alan takes things too far. But who will be the hero to expose his dark secret and set Phyllis and Sharon free? Will it be Nick? Jack? Maybe Alan's new fiancé? This will be quite a twist for poor Tracy. She finally found love again, only for her betrothed to turn out to be an absolute monster. One day, this will all come crashing down. No secrets or schemes in Genoa City stay under wraps for long. The truth always comes out, and when it does, the fireworks will be worth the wait. Whatever happens, this is the kind of juicy, jaw-dropping soap opera drama that keeps us coming back for more. The Young and the Restless recap for Wednesday, March 12, sees Alan surprise Tracy with a proposal. Meanwhile, Chance and Nick determine where to look for Phyllis and Sharon after Phyllis revives Sharon. Finally, Alan sees a live feed of the women on his phone. Jack and Diane met Alan and Tracy for lunch at the Genoa City Athletic Club. They all complimented Tracy on how radiant she looked. Alan said how much he had missed her. They talked about their time apart. Alan had been at a conference in Washington, D.C., while Tracy had been in New York. He had tried to sneak away to see her, but a series of travel mishaps had kept them apart. Jack wished them all the happiness in the world, and Diane hoped they would have more than just a few days together. Alan said that if he gave up his speaking engagements, they could have much more time for each other. Tracy loved the idea, but worried about him sacrificing something so important to his career. Jack pointed out that Alan had offered, implying it was something he truly wanted. Alan reassured Tracy that he never felt lonely in Paris until he met her. Now, life without her felt incomplete. He blurted out that if he thought he had a chance, he would propose immediately. Tracy was stunned. Jack and Diane took the hint and gave them space. Alan admitted that he had not planned to ask, but realized how much he needed her in his life. He confessed that being away from her had made him realize that life without her was no longer enough. He wanted her as his partner, lover, friend, and family. Without hesitation, he asked Tracy to marry him. She said yes. They laughed and kissed as Alan promised to make it official by getting her a ring. After Alan left, Tracy shared the news with Jack and Diane. She assured her brother that this was what she wanted more than anything. Jack and Diane were thrilled for her. At Crimson Lights, Nick and Chance reviewed surveillance footage, looking for clues about Sharon and Phyllis' whereabouts. Summer showed up as they discussed a few potential locations. Nick reassured his daughter that her mother would be okay, but Chance admitted that his instincts told him something was very wrong. This made Summer more anxious. Chance worked on obtaining search warrants, but Nick insisted on sending Newman security instead. Chance warned him that it could compromise the investigation, but Nick was determined to act. After examining a map, they noted that most of the suspected locations were abandoned buildings. Summer struggled to make sense of the situation, but Nick called his team to begin searching. Billy showed up at the Newman Ranch and updated Nick on a cryptic text he had received from Phyllis. The message claimed to be from the Havenhurst Clinic. Nick quickly looked it up and discovered it had been permanently closed. It was in the area Chance planned to search. Billy and Nick rushed to Crimson Lights to share the lead with Chance and Summer. In the basement, Phyllis desperately tried to revive Sharon, who had no pulse. She shouted at the intercom for help, but there was no response. Phyllis performed CPR. After tense moments, Sharon finally gasped back to life. As Sharon recovered, they speculated about their captor's motives. Phyllis insisted they had to work together to find a way out. Seeing an opportunity, they clasped hands, determined to escape. Alan sat in Chancellor Park with the engagement ring he had just bought for Tracy. Suddenly, his phone beeped. When he checked it, he found a live video feed of Phyllis and Sharon. Victor has been busy, getting shot, keeping Claire away from Kyle, and threatening Jack. But now that he's succeeded at all of that, the same way Victor succeeds at everything, he can move on to something else. Adam. It's been weeks since he's barked at Adam about how bad Adam is at everything. He's due. Victor doesn't like the decisions Adam has made. Which ones? Does it matter? Whatever Adam did, he had to have been wrong. Diane has been so enthused about redecorating the Abbott house. Jack has been reluctant. He's made vague noises about why. So he's good with it, right? Well, not exactly. What is the problem, Jack? Will he finally fess up or continue being opaque? Is this just a weird attachment to wallpaper, Or is Jack hiding a secret literally within the walls of the house he and his sisters grew up in? Sharon and Phyllis finally thought they'd outsmarted the villain holding them. Nope, they're right back to where they started. They may be smart, but the person holding them seems to be smarter. Then again, they've got the advantage. They know why they locked up Sharon and Phyllis, while the women are still guessing. They know everything about them, while Sharon and Phyllis know nothing. And now another trap has been sprung, which they've walked into. More poison or something mentally devastating. How hard can it be to drive those two over the edge? They're already dangling. The young and the restless good girl Claire has been the center of attention lately. Most of Claire's storyline is centered around her love life with Kyle. But things will take an interesting twist when Holden shows an interest in her. Claire's relationship with Kyle is on the rocks. The couple is receiving lots of interference from his ex-wife Summer and the Newmans, who don't want Claire with Kyle. Claire is trying not to let her jealousy get the best of her, but Summer isn't making it easy. During Claire and Kyle's recent date at GCAC, Summer interrupted because she needed to discuss something important about Harrison. As the exes talked, Claire sulked at the bar, drinking a martini. She was then joined by Holden, who brightened her mood. The two enjoyed a nice chat over martinis, which annoyed Kyle. Based on their flirty interaction, Y&R seems to be foreshadowing a Claire and Holden romance. Like any new soap opera couple, Claire and Holden's relationship is certain to bring drama. First, there is Kyle's jealousy. He assured Claire she didn't have to be worried about him and Summer. Yet, with him blowing off her to rush to Summer's side, it makes Claire feel inferior. Someone else who won't be happy is Claire's grandfather, Victor. He's been a strong opponent of her relationship with Kyle and driving a wedge between them. Victor will be pleased to hear Claire and Kyle's relationship is in trouble. However, he'll be concerned by her growing bond with Holden, a man he's suspicious of. Walk on the wild side. Claire used to be a bad girl, but has reformed into a Geno City heroine. However, Y&R fans feel her good girl demeanor has become a bit stale. She has shown signs of rebellion by standing up to Victor, and that streak could continue thanks to Holden. With Holden being a mysterious stranger with a possible shady past that's going to intrigue Claire, it might also help release her wild side. Holden already had Claire loosening up during their chat at the bar. With Holden's help, Claire be ready to let down her hair and have fun after living a sheltered life. Claire's newfound attitude and her relationship with Holden will definitely turn heads in Geno City. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Holden Novak recently crossed paths with Claire Grace Newman. However, there really weren't any sparks. One character that could definitely sizzle with Holden is Sally Spectra, though. Claire Grace Newman's chance meeting. In the Tuesday, March 11, 2025 episode, Claire was sitting at the bar when Holden came up to her. Claire was actually waiting for Kyle Abbott. The two were on a date, but Summer Newman had an emergency which tore Kyle away for a little bit. While Kyle was with Summer and Harrison Abbott, Claire was sipping a martini. That is when Holden came up and suggested a Vesper would be more to her liking. Kyle Abbott's interruption. Claire and Holden didn't chat too much. It seemed Claire was intrigued and curious about Holden. As for Holden, he acted really weird when Kyle suddenly returned to his date. Claire introduced Kyle and Holden. However, Holden tried to fade into the background and moved one chair away. Maybe Holden just assumed Claire was single and ready to mingle. In any case, there is speculation that Claire and Holden might have a love connection. It seems likely that SKYLE is going to reunite, so Claire will need a new love interest. While a lot of fans are seeing chemistry with Claire and Holden, it didn't seem all that sizzling to me. Audra Charles' introduction. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Holden could end up dating Claire down the road, but he could also meet someone else. Fans might recall Holden meeting Sally. Even though it was very brief, I could actually see these two together. Holden Novak's risky lifestyle. There is something else to consider that would make it hard to see Claire and Holden as a couple. Holden lives on the edge and lives a risky lifestyle, according to Audra Charles. If someone like Audra was scared of Holden's risky lifestyle, then Claire surely wouldn't be able to handle it. Sally Spectra's new romance? However, Sally just might be able to handle Holden's lifestyle. Whatever that is, Audra never did specify. Sally is also a tough lady, and she just might be the one who tames Holden. After all, Holden and Sally could really sizzle together. It would be a heck of a lot more interesting than Sally and Billy Abbott. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, March 12, imply some bombshell moments in the land of Genoa City. Two characters take back control, while another offers a shoulder to cry on, and someone gets shocking news. Time to dive in and see what kind of drama will unfold during Wednesday's show. The ladies take back control. Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday's show reveal that Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman will take control of their situation, which seems odd since both are being held captive. What does this mean, and could they end up escaping? Who could their mystery captor be? Phyllis and Sharon have been playing a game with their kidnapper in hopes that they'd be released. Will their nightmare finally come to an end? Chance Chancellor offers a shoulder to cry on. Speaking of the ladies, Summer Newman has been reeling over her mother's disappearance. During the Wednesday, March 12 episode, she'll turn to Chance Chancellor for support, and it looks like he'll comfort her in her time of need. These two aren't exes, but they aren't exactly boyfriend and girlfriend either. Summer's eye has wandered back to her ex-husband, Kyle Abbott, but he's with Claire Newman, so a Skyle reunion would be complicated, to say the least. Summer has been hesitant to rekindle things with Chance, but will Wednesday's show change things? Tracy Abbott's good news. Lastly, Tracy Abbott will have surprising news for Jack Abbott. Could this be about her romance with Alan Laurent? The two have gotten very serious, and the word marriage was dropped during the Young and the Restless weekly preview video. So are Tracy and Alan engaged? The Young and the Restless spoilers for Thursday, March 13, 2025 are here. In tomorrow's episode, fans can expect Jack Abbott to confess to Diane Jenkins Abbott. Meanwhile, Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, realize the stakes are even higher than before. Kidnapping bombshell. Fans have been wondering who is the mysterious person behind the speaker. Who is the one behind the game that Phyllis and Sharon are being forced to play? Well, fans finally found out at the end of Wednesday's episode. It should be noted that it's not clear if this man is Alan Laurent or Martin Laurent. It was believed that Martin died, but there has been speculation ever since about the possibility that Alan actually died. Alan was the good twin, while Martin was the bad twin. Of course, maybe Alan hasn't been as nice as he appears. With this man being responsible for Phyllis and Sharon's kidnapping, who is he, and what is his goal? It should be noted that it's not clear if this man is Alan Laurent or Martin Laurent. It was believed that Martin died, but there has been speculation ever since about the possibility that Alan actually died. Alan was the good twin while Martin was the bad twin. Of course, maybe Alan hasn't been as nice as he appears. With this man being responsible for Phyllis and Sharon's kidnapping, who is he, and what is his goal? Thursday, March 13, 2025. Fans will also see Victor Newman interrogate Adam Newman. Victor will start questioning Adam's judgment again. Victor seems pleased that Adam and Chelsea Lawson are reunited, so it must be about something or someone else. Perhaps Victor will once again ask Adam to use the company to strike back at Jack. Adam said no before, but Victor always seems to get his way in the end. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter. and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.